This week, the greatest moral challenge is about something we're probably hearing a lot about, or at least depending upon what news you listen to, you may be hearing a lot about it. And that's the question about whether there would be any gender reassignment for those who are under 18. There's been a lot of conversation about trans issues in the recent years. And you may hear people talking about things like gender affirming care. So here is why I think it's a great moral challenge. There are many aspects about it, not just about the question of what do you do about it or how you talk about it. Here's the first challenge. If a person is dealing with an internal dissonance with their biological gender, in other words, a person is born male and internally they feel like they're female, or a person is born female and internally feels like they're male. How do we navigate that? How does someone navigate that in a family? That's a very difficult thing to do. So from a Christian point of view, you want a person to live their life in accordance with their biological sex. And that's the traditional view. That would be the Wheaton College stance. But that tells you what the stance is. That doesn't tell you about how to navigate the situation with the person who's waking up and dealing with that experience every day. I mean, the official name for that is gender dysphoria. So what do you do about that? I mean, what do parents do? So should parents have their children start to take hormones or puberty blockers? These various types of treatments, even if one is not talking about anything that is surgical. If a person in their preteens or teens is talking about this. Sometimes we hear stories where somebody says, well, the most caring thing that we did was to help our kid resonate with what they felt like they truly were. And others would say, don't you dare do that. Here's what I think is part of the challenge. I'm not sure that people are always getting the help that they need as parents, as people who are those around the person who is feeling that internal dissonance. I'm not sure that they're getting the help they need for navigating that. To me, that's part of the moral challenge. The moral challenge of actually sitting with people amid a very difficult situation. So what should we do, particularly if we're dealing with someone in a family who's under 18? I think, honestly, that because there's so much transition that goes on with the person, so much that is happening with their bodies changing, with their minds changing, with their maturation process, that to do anything that's actually messing with the biology is, to me, very complicated. In other words, complicated as in, like, I don't think you should do that. And certainly, I think even if people make those decisions when they're legal adults, it still remains complicated. There's not enough data to show how many people, after they have gender reassignment, feel like they are internally resolved versus how many people that are not. There's certainly data that says that it does not fix things for people who have gender dysphoria. But others who will say, well, we don't have enough data. Well, regardless, the fact of the matter is that even if people do that when they're adults, the jury is really still out on how helpful it is for someone to do some kind of medical alterations or hormonal alterations. It's a difficult circumstance. And I think one of the biggest challenges also, by the way, is that because there's so much media about it right now, the media furor, if you will, the media attention can be so loud that it's not even attending to the fact of what is actually happening in each home where someone under 18 is navigating this. What is happening there? And for Christian communities particularly, how are the church leadership that they're a part of? Or how are the counseling resources to which they have access? How are those things coming around the family to help them navigate this? Because, I've said already, I don't think that people should be making alterations of any kind, but the greater challenge is, what do you do with the person who is navigating this? Because that person is actually in a very strong state of internal dissonance, and a lot of suffering is going on. Who is helping them? Who is being with them? To me, this is really perhaps what the greatest moral challenge is. Yes, there's the question about what kind of decisions the person should make. But the question I have really is, what decisions are being made to help people inside those homes? What is happening for them, with them, supporting them, helping them to navigate that, particularly amid the furor of a society where the greatest good, at least in our society, for some people is what? It's to say, find your true self or create your true self. With a lot of that messaging going on, who's helping families to navigate that? If you want them to hold the traditional Christian position, and you want someone to live in resonance or accordance with their biological sex, how are you helping the person with gender dysphoria to do that? How are you helping the family to do that? I don't know that there's a lot of help that families are getting. And then, of course, or people that are helping families to have the courage to do the long walk together with a person who is dealing with that. To me, really, the greatest moral challenge is about the support for persons in that situation. Are they getting enough support? I'm not sure they are.